Hi, and welcome to the next video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about an experience I had in Osaka, Japan, in the downtown area. I think it was Umeda. And I'll call this Not Just Me. So I talked about in prior videos about loneliness and part of the reason why I left Japan after being there such a short amount of time. You know, I was having a hard time making friends with people. It seemed like people were polite but not friendly. And that I didn't feel like I was making headway, was wondering if I was doing something wrong. I read about and watched plenty of videos about Japanese etiquette and didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And was trying my best to schedule things ahead of time with people, whether it was a date or the few people that I've run into that I just wanted to hang out with. And one of them I had met, I forget if I met him in a language exchange or a photo walk, but, and I'll say his name because we're still friends now, and he's a cool guy, Zach. Hey man. And he was an expat who I met, and at the time when this incident occurred, or when I had this experience, he invited me. I don't remember if it was either he or somebody else in the group had invited that I had met. I believe really nice girl, and I won't mention her name. She invited me. She said, "Hey, I'm going with this group of people, and we're going to have this spicy food kind of challenge." I said, "What do you mean, spicy food kind of challenge?" "Oh yeah, well, we're going to go to the Koko Curry, which was a chain in Japan where they have a lot of curry dishes. Usually it's meat that's breaded, and then they'll put some the curry on one side, the rice on another, so you have this colorful texture of stuff. And they have varying degrees of meats, but they also have a very wide range of hot sauce, of hot curries. I think it was like from 0 to 10. 10 obviously being the hottest, which burn your face off, and I have had the 10. It's amazing. So at the time I'd been to the restaurant, I'd had, I think, like a 2 or 3. I hadn't built up my tolerance yet. He says, "Oh, we're going to go out of this place and try it. I'm going to go with a big group of people if you're interested in going." "Yeah, sure." So I get out there, and sure enough, friend Zach's there. And what was interesting is I was the only Western face in the group. Everyone else was either Filipino, South Korean, Taiwanese. There was somebody from Hong Kong, a couple people from China, and I think there was maybe one Japanese person in the group. But I was the only Western face. So I go, "Oh, this is pretty cool. Got a whole bunch of different Asian people that I'm hanging out with and having a good meal and just chatting with." All of them, I think, except for the Japanese person, were fluent English speakers, and so they decided, as a courtesy, I'm sure, and I appreciated it, or maybe just because not everyone spoke Korean or one of the many Philippine languages or Chinese, and that everyone just, boom, went right to the lingua franca of English. So it was great. And so we're chatting up, and I'm doing more just kind of eating and listening to their conversation because I'm just enjoying the experience. And I start noticing everyone's talking about their challenges and frustrations in Japan. I go, "This is unusual." Especially because they were all fluent in Japanese. Not just the Japanese speaker. All of these people, the Filipinos, the South Koreans, the Chinese, the Cantonese, Taiwanese, all of them, fluent. I mean, these are people that work in businesses in Japan as, whether IT or maybe marketing or sales. They're all firmly entrenched in the society and had been there, living there for many years, and had Japanese bosses and all that, and roots. And they're all saying, "Wow, it's really hard making friends with Japanese people because you can't tell where they put you in terms of if you're an acquaintance, if you're a friend, and if you don't see them for a period of time, it kind of resets the clock in terms of that acquaintance to friendship to really good friends stages." I'm just sitting there, and I'm eating and just listening to this and just kind of nodding my head. And oh, and it's kind of frustrating and it's hard to have friends. I don't have many friends, and yeah, me too. And even with your coworkers, it's just going to be that work relationship, which happens everywhere. I'll say that it's not a Japanese thing per se. There's plenty of places where I worked at where people who I thought were friends at my job and tried to invite them out or do stuff, and they're like, or no interest, or just don't respond. But it was interesting seeing people who go out and are amicable and happen to be Asian. We're having these issues with finding and maintaining friendships and lasting friendships and real friendships with people in Japan, and some of their frustrations with cultural differences and a whole host of things that I can probably go on for hours on end about. And the Japanese person there, I remember her friend was translating some of the stuff that was being said and said, "Oh, isn't it?" She goes, "Oh, let me ask her. Isn't it true that it's?" She said it in Japanese, but then she translated it back to us. "Isn't it true it's really hard to make friends with Japanese people, and the relationship gets reset if you haven't seen each other for a certain period of time, and there's very much a face that gets put on when you're talking to people, and you don't really know the intention behind that." And she's like, "Yeah, yeah." And that's where it dawned on me, like the title of this video, it's not just me, where this happens to everyone. It doesn't matter that I have a Western face and come from a Western nation. Even amongst other Asians, the same thing happens. And at that moment, I felt kind of a sense of relief that it wasn't just me who was having this experience. It wasn't that I was doing something wrong and everyone else had figured out the culture and figured out how to be friends and figured out all these nuances of a new culture and a new language. It was everyone who wasn't Japanese. And even the Japanese person said that they had the same, translated through a friend, said that she, had these same experiences. So it's just an ingrained part of the culture. And it was I'll call it a good memory for me, because it brought to light that the challenges I was having weren't unique to me. That there were other people that could relate to me. And it certainly made me relax a little more and made me feel better about living there. Now, it didn't make it any easier. All the same challenges were there, but it was probably one of the best dinners I had in Japan, because it gave me that realization. It's not just me. Anyway, that's the end of this video. See you on the next one.